What is up, y'all? GideonXL here. Episode of Forced Conversation. Hopefully, everybody's doing good. Appreciate everybody. Um, Old timey and up dog might be making an appearance. It is the middle of the day, so there some work conflicts, so they might not be able to make it. But it's all good. It's all good. We're still gonna do the show. Um, Definitely want to get back to doing the podcast on a more regular basis. Definitely want to get back to doing it on a more regular basis. A lot to talk about. A lot going on in the game. And we need this, right? We need this. There's so much doom and gloom. Everybody's always talking about how the game's going to end and this, that, and the other, and the cash grabs. But like, you have control over that, right? You have control over that. You don't got to pay the luxury tax if you don't want to. Just enjoy the game, man. Just enjoy the game. Play the game according to the rules, and get involved where you can. And I think that is a huge, huge, huge piece of how the game has improved over time. And I definitely want to touch on that. I definitely want to talk about some of the things that have happened in the game, how it's improved over time, and really where I think the game is going. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that matter as well. So, really, to start off, let's get into that part, the foundation of our discussion for today. So, I have some notes here. So, you might see me looking down like that, referring to the notes. I have some notes here, some things I want to talk about. But I think it all goes back to the Apocalypse saga. Okay. A lot of people were upset, right? The Apocalypse is a dope character. Kind of the way the Apocalypse saga came to be was pretty interesting, but quickly it started to get taxing, right? It started to get taxing. I think the logic behind some of what was going on is there was a cash grab because the company was getting ready to be sold, right? And they wanted to show a good return so that the people that were going to buy it would be happy with that number. Okay. And so the Apocalypse Saga, it was cool. The scourges and stuff was really cool, but it was prescriptive in the characters that you had to have. So they were making everybody bump up these characters. Okay. And that got kind of weird. People didn't like it towards the end, when you have to bring a character like a Scarlet Witch up to, superstar levels, but the character itself isn't superstar, then that bothered people. We had interviewed uh Gangster KT, right? Remember Gangster KT? We interviewed his alliance, Wisconsin vendors, and some of those gentlemen there said, "Hey, that was a problem that they had uh, with the game," right? So then what happened? Well, then the player voice was formed. The game kind of gets under new management. The player voice is kind of being formed at that time, and that's a huge, huge, huge deal. Severely underrated. Severely underrated. So player voice, they make up this council, right? Of regular players that can sit down and have discussions with Scopely. And again, sometimes we get confused, right? We can't see the forest for the trees. We only think about cats when we need them. So when the Captain Britain stuff happened, people got mad and said, "Why ain't the player voice doing anything?" But that doesn't work like that. You have to be involved early, and having that opportunity to be involved is huge. So think about it. You got a company like Scopely that allows people, regular cats, a regular cat. You don't have to be an ultra crack and you don't have to be a whale, right? Some of those guys obviously have conversations they can have with Scopely anyway. But a regular cat, a regular dude who doesn't spend any money on the game, or maybe you just spend $5, $20, you can sit down and have a conversation with Scopely about the direction of the game, about how your play style is being affected. That's huge. So I definitely encourage everybody to get involved in that. It's kind of like, win the lottery. Put in when they have the elections, put in a regular cat. A regular cat can sit down with the company and have a discussion. And we're poo-pooing that like it's not a big deal. It's huge. It's huge. And the fact that Scopely's receptive to it, right? That they allow it, that they're receptive to it. Huge. Take advantage of it. What up, bro? How goes it? So we got now we got to try to pronounce it in real life here. Old Haynak? Old Haynak. But I'm glad, man. I'm glad you're able to catch it live. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. Hey, man, we're doing good. We're doing good. We're having fun. We're trying to get back to the content more regular. I definitely used to do this on a more regular basis, so we're trying to get back to it on a more regular basis so we can have these good discussions. But it's a huge deal. The player voice is a huge deal. So I always encourage people put in for that, man. When they have those elections, put in. Sit down at the table like a regular person who plays the game and talk with them. It's amazing opportunity. Be involved in the discussions because it did help to change the game. Think about some of the stuff that happened. So I was able to unlock every character in the game free to play in some way, shape, or form of Marvel Strike Force. The only character I was not was US Agent. The only character I wasn't able to get was US Agent, and that was because his release method, I think you had to get 14 war attacks every war. And you can't, I mean, if your alliance is doing well, you can't do that. 10 attacks should clear, right? If everybody gets 10, then you can't get 14. So what are you supposed to do? And plus, people got to work, man. Like they were catering the game at that point to the way your professional players. So when you watch like a dorky dad or a mobile gamer, the way that those guys play the game, they were structuring the game around that. So the player voice and other individuals were able to sit down and say, hey man, like that's not how normal people play the game. Hey man, brother, I appreciate the compliment. Appreciate the compliment. We're just trying to keep it positive out here. Appreciate you, bro. We're trying to keep it positive out here. We're trying to get better. We're working on improving what we can and improving the game, man. So thank you so much for the support. We're gonna keep it rolling. We need good cats like yourself to keep making that happen. So think about those things. The event structure got changed, right? So now events are predictable. They're relatively simple, right? Not that you can't still benefit from a good math video like Big Positive Geek. He always puts down good stuff. Manguli puts good stuff down. Like, not that you can't Boylan, definitely. Not that you can't still benefit from a good math video to really get that extra leg up, but that won't stop you from unlocking the character, right? They don't make events, they try to not to make events that make it, generally speaking, difficult to unlock the character. And if for some reason there's an oversight and something's weird and the normal person can't accomplish it, then they're open to talk about it. They're open to talk about it, right? They'll change the event. They'll change the event. They'll give us a bonus, right? They give us a free claim that gets people like halfway there to make up for the difference. They'll erase the leaderboard part of the event completely. They'll just give people stuff like they want you to play the game. They want you to be able to get the characters. Huge change from how it was before. Huge change. Release cadence. So like we said, you would miss a character. So anybody remember, right? If you've been playing a game like Darkhold, so you needed Darkhold to get Apocalypse initially. But if they made Morgan Le Fay hard to get, if you missed her, the way to get her strong, like she was just gone. She was not accessible. And they would have characters like that. Now they're still going to have characters like that now, but it's not like a character that you have to progress the game. Does that make sense? Now, if they're going to make a character a little bit more rare, like a Black Knight or something like that, we're not going to say he's a luxury character, but they make sure you can unlock him. But the power behind him is locked, we'll say, more tied to cash money and things like that. But if you need them to progress, they're giving them to you. Even with like the Illuminati, right? Think about that. I know people are upset about it, but people who weren't playing the game before, that didn't have Iron Man, that didn't have Mr. Fantastic, that didn't have Black Bolt, right? And those other, like Iron Man and Black Bolt being legendary characters, you had to build other characters to get those characters. And they're making this part of a normal team. They're just handing you shards, right? People were upset about the orbs. The orbs weren't for the mature player. The orbs were to help people who, came to the game within the last couple of years who didn't have those characters. And there's no reason to build, right? There was no reason to build the other characters that were needed for the requirements. They were bad. So they weren't going to have you build, a whole group of 5 characters that you're not going to use just to unlock a character in a regular team. So they're just handing out shards, right? They're just handing out shards. And that's a good thing. It's a great thing. Instead, though, right, there's too much complaining. There's too much complaining. We can't see the forest for the trees. We're not noticing the positive direction and the influence that you can have in the game just by being part of the discussion, just by being part of the conversation. Grab onto it, you know? So they streamlined the release method for characters. So they said, hey, there's going to be a release cadence. And for the most part, they stick to it. There's a release cadence. Overwhelming majority of the characters, you should have them farmable. 6 months, they're saying you got that opportunity to have them at 7-star. Pretty much every character in the game, few exceptions, but pretty much every character in the game. And we're seeing that. Those are all great, great, great things. Some of us might not remember what the game used to be like, but this is all really great. Okay. They changed the new player experience. Once again, super huge on that front. Super huge. So, right? So um, I played, so Updog just sent me a text. He's not gonna be able to make it. He's not gonna be able to make it. It's all good, right? Work. People got work. Real life is real, man. It's okay. We'll catch up to you next time, brother. It is all right. You gotta pay the bills, bro. You gotta pay the bills, gotta make ends meet. New player experience. So once again, guys, you don't know, I've played a new player account since I've been doing the YouTube channel. So this is my third iteration. I played some other accounts. I've only been doing YouTube for about a year, but I've played like 3 different new player accounts. Okay. So the first 2 that I was playing around with at the 6-month mark, on the first one, at the 6-month mark, I was just able to get into Doom raids. And I was like, yo, you can get into Doom raids in 6 months. And people laughed. People said I was lying. People said that I was spending money under the table. Like like it was ridiculous. Like, what? Like, you don't believe that you can get into Doom First Strike in 6 months? People was like, no, there's no way. And it was harder. It definitely was harder because of the old school way the game was played. But now, with the new player experience, it's been changed, right? People got all upset about the boosted accounts, the boosted accounts. There's A and B testing. Bro, this is a business, right? This might be hard for people to grasp, but it's a business. They got to make money, and you have to test things, and you have to test some stuff live. You can't test it. How do you test the progression of thousands of people in a test server? Like, that's not how it goes. You have to understand what people are actually doing in real life, right? You got to understand what people are actually, the real actual behavior. So they tested it. They gave some people accounts that their experience points progress faster. But I mean, this is just me. I don't know this. This is just me. Like, my account wasn't boosted, but it seemed like my resources, right? I wasn't able to build as fast, but I was definitely able to build steady. I wasn't able to build tall, but I was able to build wide. So I think that was part of the test. Do we give people more quicker XP to get their account level higher, or do we give people resources? Right? That was something I don't think a lot of people are talking about. I think there was some things going on with the resources too. And this is not to be scandalous. It's just I think they were testing more than one thing. The thing you could see readily that was easy was the experience buff. But the resources were also part of it, because just because you accelerate somebody's experience, they have to have the stuff to build the characters. So I think that was all part of the testing. They were trying to figure out what's the sweet spot in that. And once they had it dialed in, then they made the adjustment, and it's just standard practice for people's accounts when they start the game. And it's huge because now with this current account, well, I didn't even have the boost, right? I didn't even have the boost initially, and some people did. So first like 3-ish months, I didn't have the boost until they made it live for everybody. But like, now any good creator out there, You got people are in incursion, end game incursion now. All right. I think Dorky Dad's an end game incursion. New account, like 6 months. So we went from not being able to just barely get into Doom, and people believe that's an unbelievable feat, to 6 months you can be doing the end game raid, not at max difficulty necessarily, but you're in the end game raid. Huge, right? Great changes. Great changes. Man, it's a big deal. You look at preps, right? If you're not familiar with preps, make sure you check his channel out. Super Scroll in 6 months. Bro, that's great. How's that wrong? How's that bad? So I think Dorky Dad said it best, man. He said that he want people to be involved with the culture of the game. That's not a direct quote, but I remember him saying something similar to that. And I'm like, dude, that's it. That's perfect. Because that is what you want. You want when a person starts playing the game. When a person starts playing the game, you want them to, once they understand it and grasp the concept, you want what people are talking about to mean something. So if people say, Spider Society, skill raid team, right? You want that to mean something. You don't want it to be 6 months to a year before a person is able to plug that stuff in, right? You want it to be sooner. So when we talk about like the Annihilators coming out, and again, that's another. Well, we'll get into that maybe a little later, but no, we'll talk about that. Like the Annihilators, their arena team, right? Again, it's a huge thing. It resets the arena. It resets the arena. So this is what happened last time. Like when Secret Defenders came out, it resets the arena. The spenders are you're gonna watch, right? Depending on where you are in the arena, the bracket starts getting moved around. The top 20, the top 50, top 100 starts getting moved around. I didn't build Darkhold initially, so I didn't have the arena team at the time. When Secret Defenders came out, right, I was sub 500 in my arena shard because I didn't have Secret Defenders. Or excuse me, I didn't have Darkhold. Right? We told the story before, but like Secret Defenders came out and I jumped top 50, top 30. Just climb my way up. Why? Because I had the best team and I was playing. Right? So that's what happens when a new arena team comes into the game. It resets everything. It gives you another chance. It gives you another opportunity. So we shouldn't poo-poo it. Some people are getting upset, but like it gives you an opportunity. Alt Haynak, they even counter Mephisto. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna take him out of arena a little bit. So that's the cool thing. Like we forget this stuff. It levels the playing field. So every year, it looks like every year when a new arena team comes in, it resets the arena meta. And now it's starting over. Everybody's basically starting over. This has to do with who's going to be playing, right? And did you get the characters? Spenders obviously going to get it first, but effort, that's another thing about arena. Effort matters. If you play all your attacks, that's 5 attacks. So you have an opportunity to climb up 5 spots. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But there's opportunities. And individuals who didn't, and I get it, there's real life. So you're at work that day, or you got busy, you only did 2 attacks, right? You can only climb up the wrong 2 ladders. So it's just like real life. It's real life. Consistency is key. As long as you're trying, as long as you're putting in opportunity, you have that opportunity to climb. Even over people that are stronger than you because maybe they didn't play today. It's huge. It's huge. And them resetting, I got a little bit of mixed feelings about it, but them taking the timer off of arena, I think does more good than harm. People use that to kind of soak up and hold on to the top spots. But if you're a regular person, you can't wait. I can't. Right? I can't sit there on my phone and wait till like the last 10 minutes and try to get a bunch of attacks. And I just play when I can, climb up when I can. I've been able sometimes to punch up into the top 20 of my arena shard on my normal account. I'm curious to hear what, how it goes for you, but I think that those things are all good things. They flattened out the red stars. Flattened out the red stars. We're in diamonds now, but they flattened one progression system before they went to the next. Huge, right? These are all things that they didn't have to do, but this stuff is necessary for the game. And again, we forget about that stuff. We forget about it because it's all good stuff. It makes it so everyone can play the game. The playing field is level at your play style. And that's another point that sometimes we forget. Like people think, well, I'm the free to play is going to fall behind. Fall behind who? Fall behind who? You're playing with the same. You're playing against people that play the game like you. You're playing against other free to play players if that's what you are. If you're a light spender, you're mostly playing against them. If you're a whale cracking, whatever, you're playing against people in your league. And there's nobody to fall behind. Right? We see some exceptional individuals sometimes. I mean, we got to think about this for a minute. A person who plays the game for a living, right? It's possible that with some cash money and literally a group of people, a brain trust, if you will, that are all communicating and you're getting ideas and stuff like that, and you're doing that 8 hours a day, every day, it's possible that that cat might punch above their weight. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But the majority of us, that's not real. That's not real life. We don't play this game for our job. So sometimes you know your mileage may vary. You're not going to get right. You're not competing against these individuals who we think we are, right? If I'm fighting people who are stronger than me, they're not whales. That's not who that is, right? I'm fighting against people who are stronger than me because maybe they spend more time and more money, but it's not crazy amount. I buy a battle pass a month. So I spend $20 on the game a month if I'm feeling it. So I'm not competing with people that spend $500. Those individuals' teams are way too strong. And you've seen that. If your alliance is doing well in war, like we fought my alliance, I think we were a couple weeks ago, we were like 260-ish as far as war rank, my main alliance. And we got matched up with a group called the Pimps, PYM, like Hank Pimps. That was a play on words. They were they were the 26th, ranked 26 for Alliance War in the game. They dog walked us. We got smoked. We got smoked. We played against the Nemesis's group. I was busy. I didn't catch it, but I mean, they're strong. They spend money. We got beat. So you're not competing, right? We think we're competing against it. We're not. Once you actually matched up with some cats that are actually spending that money, you realize, right? There's a jump. Like, whoa, we hit the next level. It's definitely the next level, and it's good to test yourself. It's good to test yourself, but yeah, man, it's not working the way people claim. You're not falling behind. There's nobody to fall behind. You're competing against your peers. It's just like real life, right? You're a, rank whatever your ranked are in your sport. You're playing against other people that are in that rank, and if you go up, you find out. You get to test the metal. We got a question from Old Haynack. Do you think you are getting more value with an Aries battle pass nowadays? Let me put that back. That's a good question. I can say that the battle pass overall is more value than it was in the past. Just you get stuff. More value. I don't know, man. I'm not a numbers guy. We might find this out. I'm not a numbers guy. We'd have to do some math, count some ducats, but I'm not sure. All I can say is that I'm comfortable. I want to spend a little money on the game. Okay. And I'm comfortable with $20. That's what I'll throw at it. I don't buy all the passes. I'm not going to buy one every week, but I'm comfortable with $20. And there was a time in Marvel Strike Force where you couldn't do anything. $20 wasn't touching anything. And that basically comes from, just for me, from my perspective, it basically comes from, I would $5 for 50 character shards. I think they used to have those deals on occasion. So I know it's not $20 isn't quite that because that would be 200 shards, but I mean, it might be close-ish, right? It's going to get me unlock Ares for one pass. I think that's cool. I think that's a good value to have a character like that that you can unlock and some other stuff. I think that's cool. That's good value. Um, but the value of the passes seems to fluctuate, right? Like sometimes they seem like they have more of something than something else. Training materials, gold, dark promos, diamonds, and they don't seem to keep a consistent level of that. They kind of move those around. So some of that stuff is user dependent. And again, if I don't, for me, I'll just say again, for me, I kind of don't like the ones that have two characters in them. Yeah, I should have clicked that area. How do you decide between pass and strike pass? So I don't like this is just me. I don't like the ones with two characters in them. I feel like I just, I want to make progress on one person instead of splitting that up, right? If I'm going to get 20, if I'm going to get 50 shards or 100 shards of somebody, I'd rather get 100 shards of that person than get 50 and 50. This is just me. As well as I got to look, I should probably open my game. I think the difference is dark promos and diamonds, right? Take a second to open my game and look at it. Unless I think maybe the premium resource for one of them is dark promos and the other one is diamonds. And so then, do I want the character first off? And then, which one am I going after? If that makes sense. So we got another comment. Keep them coming, bro. To me, recently, all the Alpha Flight and Mercs for Money passes were all heavily skippable. And I can feel that. I can feel that. Oh. Why? What reasoning would you give? You just didn't like the hey, we won our war. It's gonna take a second for me to log in. We won our war. What does this mean? League promotion. I don't know if you can see this. Platinum 4. We made it. Platinum 4. Props. Props to the turnaround crew. Man, our guy Newt, he knows what's up, dude. He knows what's up. Newt's the Alliance leader. Optimus. Optimus. It's good dude. Optimator, not Optimus, Optimator. War captain. Good dude. All right, I'm looking at the strike pass right now. So we got the Mercs in there, and there's two. Yep, so that's what I'm talking about. There's two, so it kind of makes me shudder a little bit, but that's where the diamonds are. Although I like that's the thing. I like the Mercs. I take a peek too, and am I going to get up another star level, right? That's another thing to peek at. Am I going to get a star level, or am I just going to get shards? So that's who's in the strike pass and the battle pass. Obviously, right now is Ares. We go to the end. He has Crimson Gear, dark promos. So I guess I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't since I only buy one a month, I just kind of wait for one that I want. And it's usually has to have a character. Yeah, I'll take dark promos, I'll take diamonds. I don't have a preference either way. It's just the one character that's coming out that I want to work on. The near useless teams Alpha Flight do their jobs at low stars and they reduce dark promo in the battle pass. Yeah, so that's one of those things that they seem like they move that stuff around a little bit. And I don't know what the matrix is on that or why or the numbers behind it. Good questions to ask. If you're not part of Player Voice, get in there, man. Throw those questions in the Ask the Council, or if you're part of a group, right? That's the other thing too. I mean, they kind of look at the focus group. So get in one of the focus groups, ask those questions. They Scopely definitely looks at that stuff. Maybe you don't get a reason, but maybe they'll give you some type of partial understanding. But how about, so you said Alpha Flight and the Mercs. So do you think the Mercs for money, that they're useless? Like, they're pretty strong, bro. Pretty strong. But I mean, that doesn't mean you have to spend money, you know? It doesn't mean you have to spend money. I call that the luxury tax, and you don't have to pay that if you don't want, bro. Right? There's nobody forcing us to spend money on this game. But no, I think the Mercs are a strong team, man. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff, all those changes in the game, I think they set the foundation, right? The new team, I think it's Savvy Games owns the Scopely company now. They were trying to build they knew what was wrong. It takes time to fix it all. So they got it. I think they got it dialed in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they got it dialed in. New play experience is good. The event cadence is good. They know that here's a free to play unlock, and they seem to have it bracketed. They might be playing with that a little bit, but they seem to have it dialed in. Free to play, you get this. There's a spending bracket where here's a middle, and then there's a big dog spending bracket up here. And I think they got it dialed in. So now we proceed with the game. Now that they got that part fixed, now that they got the foundation fixed, now you can start building on the game overall. And I think that's what's happening, man. I really do. I think that's what's happening. And once again, we gotta push, not push back. That's not the right word, but we gotta get some more voices out there, dude. There's a lot of people out here that just dog the game to get clicks and views, which is crazy because this was putting food in their mouth. But like, the game's in a great state. Even the Illuminati, like, we'll get into that in a second. Let me see what Alt Hank said. He said the useless teams, his alliance is platinum for war. The more active alliances, in that case, win the war. They don't give us resource to level war teams. So, just my 2 cents. You're 100% right. I'm not sure where you are in the game, but if you're just getting the platinum and right now it's all about who's the most aggressive, I can feel that. Right? That's how it is in my new account. It's definitely who's the most aggressive, right? Yeah, I get that. The T4s are an issue. I don't know, right? Like, a lot of my teams don't have T4s on, not all of them. Not right. I can't, if a new team comes out, I probably don't have T4s on the whole team on my new account. That's I agree with you there. The gold though, bro, they just hand us gold for us as newish players. They just hand us gold. And then, like, my suggestion always is just work on the newest team. Just work on the economy is actually good for you to be able to reach back and slowly build up older characters or older teams. It's definitely there. Just grab, this is what I do. Just focus on whoever's the newest. And then, especially months like this, like, that's another small point that I want to bring in. Months like this, they do this 2-3 times a year where there's no characters, right? So, like, uh the anniversary of the game, there were no new characters. They're just handing out old stuff. That whole month, you could just pick another team and build them, right? Your resources aren't being going to a new team. You could just pick another team and build them. Same with right now, Marvel. I think it's a Marvel decree. If you have Marvel intellectual property and you're making a video game, you will cater to Wolverine and Deadpool. So in this game, they didn't. The characters were reworked. They were already in the game. They were reworked. We brought them up for other things. And again, there's nothing else really coming out this month except Ares. And they already put the Annihilators in, the old ones, or excuse me, the old ones. So if you want, you can get a head start and work on them. Or what I was doing before for my war teams, I went back and I pumped up my gamma on my main account. The the new account, I hear what you're saying. It's hard to keep up with stuff. Just build what's new. And then I pivoted to the Annihilators. But I'm being completely honest with you right now on my new account, I don't have, I don't want to say a project, but yeah, I can build something else right now. I don't have anything else that I have to work on. So my pivot on the new account is to go towards Apocalypse. So I'm just building the stuff that I need, which is basically the Horsemen, since they changed the requirements, trying to get them strong enough to get through the content to get Apocalypse. Are you in the same boat? Yeah. I should have looked at your comment earlier. You're in the same boat. True. But I needed to work on old teams to unlock the legendaries and Apocalypse. I started a year. Awesome. Okay, 1 year in. Good. No, that's good. That is a challenge. I'll agree with that. That is a challenge because you're building. Because here's the thing, right? Like when you're as a newer player or a person, we'll just say like you weren't there when so-and-so team came out, right? That's a problem. You weren't there when so-and-so team came out. So then when they rework teams, you don't have those characters at some type of build level. You have to build all 5 characters to get them in working order. And the veteran player doesn't have to do that. They just have 3 characters and they kind of, cap some stuff off. Maybe they don't even build those guys. But for us, when you're doing new things, you need all 5. And that costs a lot. Last star in Green Goblin, 40 million gold to get Rebirth and New Avengers. Yeah, man. Ooh. Bro. Yeah, I probably would have skipped the Rebirth or at least just built. Man, that's hard. I would have saw how much can you get away with just Peggy. Since she's for Out of Time and Captain America. But if you want to get that, you want that last star, you got to build both teams. Ooh. Yeah, that hurt, bro. I think my Gabi's only like 4 stars, man. I think that he's only like 4 stars. But that's tough. I get that. I definitely get that. So make sure you're talking to people. I guess it'd be only advice. I don't even know if you ask for advice. Talking to people and do stuff that you want to do. Make sure you're having fun. Build the guys you want to build. No, that is tough. I get it. I don't even know where my dudes are. I'll open up the game. It'll take a minute. Open up my new player game. We'll take a look and see where we're at. But I think all that stuff is heading in the right direction. It's definitely trending in the right direction. They've evened out the economy a lot. Hey man, I appreciate it, bro. That's what we're trying to do. And we want to make conversation and not be clickbaity and the world is ending. We want to make conversation because that's how things get better, right? Many minds. And people play the game differently. Like that's the thing. Like people play the game differently. Right? So short story, maybe I don't know if you heard it before, but essentially I had I was in some really good alliances early in the game and they broke up, got destroyed because people were following advice that wasn't good. And it's because everybody doesn't play the game the same, right? If a person is saying that you can skip this character, but they bought the character, right? Like I can't go back later. You can now. It's better now. But before, if you missed the character, they were gone for like 4-6 months. You weren't getting them. If you skipped them, you were stuck. If you needed that person, that person could change their mind because they bought the character. But you and me, if you're playing free to play, not so much. So let me look here. I'm looking for Rebirth. And who were the other people? It's Rebirth and New Avengers. Let me take a peek. I should have next time I'll hook my game up. My new Avengers are all level 70. gear tier 13, and my rebirth. Let me find it real quick here. Rebirth. Most of them aren't even strong, man. My U.S. agent, Winter Soldier, like a level U.S. agent, Agent Venom are level 35 in blue. Winter Soldier's level 1. Cap is level 80. Peggy is level 75. So I probably was just going for the unlock. I don't think I put any extra juice. I'll try to. You're making me think about this. I should be hooking my game up, but I can't hook both of them up. That's the problem. I can only either do my end game or my new account. So we want Superior 6. My Green Goblin is 3-star. My Green Goblin's 3-star. So that's all I was going for, man, was the unlock. And I was going to try to come back later because I was going to start leaning into the new legendaries. But then they made the Apocalypse announcement. So now I'm leaning into that. I just don't like unskippable teams like Out of Time and Spider Society since they're needed for the Old Man Logan trial. And now Annihilators and Illuminati Alpha Flight for Spotlight raids. So here's the thing, like it's a business. It's a business. So it'd be foolish for them to make characters and teams that you can skip, right? Because then they're not making any money. So they don't want us to miss the teams. But the good news is, like, you don't necessarily have to build them strong if you're not trying to. So if you're not, like Illuminati's a Crucible team, if you're not really in the Crucible, just make sure you unlock them. You don't have to put resources into them. I'm always going to say go with the strongest team. I'm always going to say go to the strongest team. But they don't, right? They can't really make guys skippable. But I do think one of the things that's changing, right? Like, well, what do you think about the spotlight raids? Like the raids themselves, like I think it's a cool idea to have a raid, and maybe I don't know if it's going to change. I don't know how long it's going to be active, but like that spotlight orb is great. It's great. Like it changes often. They put a new character in it. And then when you get enough, you can just hold on to them. So on my main account, I actually, it's Iron Patriot. I think he's the featured character. Just last night, I got enough. I got enough Iron Patriot so I can start saving some orbs. They said they're going to be changing it in a couple of days, maybe today. I don't know. Like, I think that's cool. You know, that wasn't an option before. You would just stack up your old orbs, be full of characters that you're not using. Just in the points. The points didn't matter as much either. The new trials require 95 plus on most characters to have good enough score on the leaderboard. No, man, they got to do that. You know, like you have to have, if level 100 is the cap, you got to have it. You got to have it, you know? But don't worry about, like, that's the thing. Don't worry about the leaderboard too much. Again, we're competing against people that are spending, like, if you're not a spender, bro, you're competing against people that are spending big money. Right? If I'm playing for free and somebody else dropped $300, $500, they're going to have the advantage. They're going to get a spot over me. So I'm just trying to unlock if I can. But the way the legendary characters used to be is it would take you 2 tries. That's how it was. It would take you 2 tries to get the legendary character, usually. That's how it was before. So it seems like they're kind of going back to that, which I'm not opposed to, as long as they don't make it, right. They shouldn't make it required. Like if it was going to take me, let's say, 2 chances to get Old Man Logan, and then you make the mercs required for another legendary, then that pigeonholes you, right? That that only a percentage, because you set the percentages up, that only a percentage of the community is going to unlock the character. So if they were to make it mandatory for the next step, I think that's where we really starting to run into trouble. Oh, it hurts. We tried, man. We tried to have a positive spin, but I really do believe that, man. That it's a good, at least the orb, right? That orb is pretty dope. It's actually always full of good people. They're keeping it relevant, right? Not like the old Greek raid orbs that never change. Like these change, and they keep it full of good people. But what happened? What went downhill? Why are you not enjoying uh the spotlight raid? But again, overall, I think the foundation of the game is set up to succeed. They fixed a bunch of stuff on the again that foundation, and now they're trying to set up for success. They catered a lot of time and energy to the new player community, help them get to be when people can come into the game, they can participate. And now I think they're swinging it in the other direction, and they're trying to make stuff more for the end game player, right? They're just pivoting it. Now they fix the bottom, and they got to fix the top now. And I think the Illuminati was actually an interesting way to do that. I know it bothered a lot of people, the Captain Britain thing, but still, they gave us a team of 5 that work. Like Iron Man is not trash. You say he's garbage. He's not trash. The dude has a move that extends negative effects with no qualifier, right? A lot of times when you have people that have moves that extend negative effects, it says like not stun, not trauma, not ability block, stuff like that. But his doesn't have any qualifiers. It just extends negative effects. So it's one of the few people in the game that can extend trauma. Like that's dope. Extend stun. That doesn't happen often. Granted, Captain Britain is a much better character, but they made sure that the team is actually good for the normal person. The 5-person team is actually good. The 6th man, Captain Britain, makes it amazing, but the team is still good. And they listen to feedback. Bro, they never used to do that. They never used to do that. If a character comes into the game, they'd rather lowball them a little bit, see how it goes, and then turn the dial up instead of having to bring, right? They've never brought the dial down. They bring the dial up, and that's amazing. They were right. If people say, hey, this just doesn't work, or it's not feeling right, or it just doesn't, it's only good in these specific situations, they'll tweak it. They never used to care. They never used to listen to anything anybody has to say, but they'll tweak it. That's great. That's great. So the orb is amazing. Removing all the T4s from raid and raid season and putting in the spotlight forces you to level alpha flight or face getting no T4. So I get that. I get that. Like generally speaking, I would just say just bring the newest team, whoever the newest team is, just bring them up to your level. There's usually time to work on another character or two. So you just have another goal and work on that. But no, I hear you. And the tier 4 thing for the newish, I even shouldn't even say new players. Like you said, you've been playing for a year. I've been playing this account for 7 months. Yeah, I don't have tier 4s on all my characters, right? Like I try to do the passives, and then I have a few left over, and I debate whether I should spend it or keep them. So that is an issue with the game. I can see that. That is an issue between the a person who starts later and a person who's been playing the game longer. Let's see. In war now, Illuminati with Britain can beat Superior 6 and Spider Society. Wow, bro. I didn't know that. Spider Society, Alpha Flight, Crucible team beats the Apex War Defense team, Alpha Flight, the gift that keeps on giving. Like you're not upset or you're not happy about the Alpha Flight stuff. I'll tell you that. You're not happy. I could tell. Interesting. I did not know that. He's strong though, bro. He's strong. But he costs cash money, right? Like 300 bucks. So he should probably do something. I think that was a complaint, right? Yo, this dude costs 300 bucks. He should probably do something. And Alpha Flight, but I mean, that's the thing. Like if it so who normally would you use to fight Alpha Flight? Mercs for Money? I think the only two teams that can really beat him is Mercs for Money and Out of Time on an even playing field. I think those are really the only two. So having another team, right? Freeze those guys up for something else. Spider Society has limited counters, so it has another team. So that's their advantage. The spender advantage is they have another play that they can make that I can't make. Right? They can drop somebody in that I can't drop in, and I think that's cool. I know we get upset about it a little bit, but I think that's also part of the game. You need to have some type of spender advantage, but you don't want it to be oppressive. Like I played before this game, I played Marvel Future Fight. That was my main game. And they had a patch where all the characters were paywall like imagine that. Like we're mad about Captain Britain. That's one dude, but they still gave us a serviceable team of 5 characters you can use. Right? The same team is still good, and then the 6-man makes it amazing. But think about what if the entire Illuminati team was all paywall. So that's what that game had. They had a group of characters come out that were all super strong. The whole patch. There was no free to play characters, right? Like, and what they were trying to do that upset a lot of people. But what they were trying to do is make a bigger gap between the free to play and the spenders because it was too tight. And so I think that's kind of where Marvel Strike Force is. They're not doing it as severe. But since they evened out the economy and people can just come in and catch up really quickly, they want there to be the spenders still need to have a gap, right? You need because it's player versus player is where you make your money. Player versus player is where you make your money. So they need to have a gap. So it looks like Captain Britain was one way to do that. And then Ares appears to be another way. They're making it a little easier. There's a free to play. And then as you spend, your Ares get stronger. And I'm not opposed to that. I think that's the best way to do it, to be honest. Um, but like I said, it's a business, and that's that part we have to understand and appreciate. They gotta be able to make money. So they said heaps of T4 went from 25 to 40, but no entries and rewards. So that's not heaps of T4. I get that. I get that. Hopefully they'll work on that. And I don't know if there's another. So people talked about tier 5s, but maybe that's just what awakened abilities are. Because people speculated that there'd be another progression system, but maybe that's just what awakened abilities are. But I hear what you're saying there. I feel the pain, bro. Trust me, I do. Trust me. Alpha Flight loses to 4-piece. Anything with Apocalypse. Big Time can shut down Sasquatch. Gamma on a big punch down or A-Force. A-Force. I hadn't heard that one. We have how big? How big of an A-Force you gotta have? No, but I mean that's in what you're describing. I think like that's the beauty of the game. That's the play, right? Apocalypse, he's a trump card. Boom, right? You can throw Apocalypse down to beat a lot of things. I think that's okay. Big Time is kind of being that same way. He's definitely preferred on the defensive end right now. But like you're saying, you can use him on the offensive end and cause some problems. Like I think that's like the cool stuff. That's cool to find those little playing cards, man. Those little pieces. 10% on the A-Force, huh? Wow. I have to practice that. I got to try that. I got to try that. So it's a punch down. Is that what you said? It's a punch down with A-Force can beat Uh, Alpha Flight, huh? I would like to try that. Woo. Opti, if you're listening, he's the war captain. If you're listening, we gotta. I guess we're off war right now. Maybe I'll try it today in the practice. See what we can do. No, but I up or down. You can punch up 10. We're gonna try that today. We're gonna try that today. We gotta figure that out. That's an bro. Wow, that would free up some stuff, and that's the beauty. That would free up some stuff. No, but I think like the main point that I wanted to really bring out today was all those changes. I think they're ready for the next level, right? People been saying they're bored and whatnot, and I get it because we need more content. But that graphics update, man, super underrated. I know it was weird and some of the stuff didn't work, but people were like, "Well, why? Why would they fix the best part of the game? Why would they spend money fixing the best part of the game?" Bro, for years they said that they couldn't do anything about it. For years they said they didn't even know how to change the backgrounds. That they didn't have the tech, that the framework of the game was too fragile, right? The spaghetti code, right? They had people you come in like I'm not a tech guy, right? I'm not a tech guy, but one of my children, he's involved in tech. He talked about my buddy, his wife's involved in tech. And they talk about this thing called the invisible dog. I don't know nothing. I'm not a tech guy, but they said you would come in and you're starting to work on this thing and you find this code for like Rover. And you're like, oh, well, I got to learn about Rover. So you spend all this time learning about Rover and what he can do. And you start uh, learning about it and start coding for it. And finally, someone comes over and says, hey, man, like Rover's not a thing. Like, yeah, somebody was building it, but it doesn't actually do anything. It's just vestigial code in the game or in the program that nobody's using. And you spent all this time learning this because you thought that this was supposed to be the next move. If nobody told you, you're just wasting time. And they said, illustratively, stuff like that would happen with Scopely, right? You change something like the Hulk size, and somehow that breaks the game. Like, why would the size of the Hulk character model break the game? Because it's connected to a bunch of stuff somehow that they shouldn't be connected to, or it's not intuitive that it would be connected to. So for this graphics update to be a thing, for it to be reality, means that they changed a bunch of stuff under the hood, man. I think that got missed. There's not a lot of people talking about that because people just want to complain all the time. But that means that they changed a bunch of stuff under the hood, man. So they should be ready to start doing some big things. So we want some more content. We want some newer content. I think they're putting themselves in position to do it, man. I really, really do. Definitely curious to hear your thoughts on that. But the game looks good. The game looks good. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on how the game could be improved or what type of additional, like if they're going to add game modes, do you have any theory crafts on what that could be? Whether it's a player versus player style or player versus environment, I think right now is a good time to talk about that stuff. You can throw them in the chat, throw them in on there's a tab in the player voice Discord that you can kind of just throw stuff out there, theorycraft stuff like that. You can ask for characters, not saying that they'll make them, but you can ask for characters. You can throw in suggestions on costumes. Like they take suggestions, they're open to suggestions. So I'll go in there and do that and make that happen. So hey, we've been going for about an hour. Uh Altanak, thank you, bro. Thanks for the discussion. Definitely appreciate you. Hope everybody enjoys their day. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at. I think we're dry today. It's been rainy here in the Midwest, but I hope the weather's good where you're at. Make sure you take care of yourself and your family. Peace.